everybody. We're about to start today's meeting. This is Tuesday, October 16th, 2018. It's our first time that we're holding our 6 p.m. Town Board meeting, so welcome. If we could start by all rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. Bob, you want to start us?
Sure. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight, before we do our presentations, I'm just going to read off our announcements.
Actually, you know what? We usually do a prayer before the meetings, and our person who was doing the prayer this evening wasn't able to be here. He had to run out. So, Pastor Becca, would you mind leading us in prayer?
Talk about putting you on the spot.
Thank you for the honor.
Thank you.
Let's bow our heads together.
Father, we thank you for this time that you have given us an opportunity to be able to come together as a town, as friends and as neighbors and town council members. I pray, Lord, that you would lead us in this business, that you would give us wisdom and direction, and that you would be honored in it all. We thank you for your grace and your understanding. In all your name we pray, Lord Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
So we'll read through a few of our announcements. The Business Improvement District, the Town of Riverhead, and the YMCA of East Hampton with support by the Riverhead Chamber of Commerce and Long Island Sports Park will be hosting Halloween coughing races on Saturday, October 27th, starting at 1 p.m. on East Main Street. Coffin races in heats run 2 at a time down Heidi Baird Way. Full details on the coffin races and all events for the Halloween Fest weekend, October 26th through October 28th, can be found at www.halloweenfestriverhead.com. The parade for the Grand Halloween Parade will also be on October 27th at 7 p.m. on Main Street. If you are interested in participating in the parade, please fill out the form, which also can be found at that website, which again is halloweenfestriverhead.com. And there will be cash prizes and local gifts will be awarded to the best costume and participants, including a $500 grand prize. So hopefully you'll sign up for that. It's always a fun weekend here in downtown Riverhead. This weekend, Art in the Park Reflections returns on Saturday, October 20th in Grangeville Park. This is a walkable, interactive experience for visitors to the park with a daytime art show and a nighttime light show illuminating the art displays starting at 7 p.m. The Recreation Department's Community Service Club will be meeting on Sunday, October 21st at 9 a.m. until 10:30 a.m. at the George Young Community Center in Jamesport. They will be working on recyclable art projects. So if anybody wants to come down and join them there on Sunday. The Aquabog PTO's 27th Annual Craft Fair returns on Saturday, October 20th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Aquabog Elementary School. The craft fair will feature vendors, raffles, class baskets, school apparel and food. Funds raised will go towards supporting the students of Aquabog School. The Riverhead Central School District will be holding its 7th annual Transition Fair on October 24th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. in the Riverhead High School cafeteria. The fair, which is designed for families with children who have developmental disabilities, will feature more than 30 agencies and organizations that can assist families in planning their child's future through community-based services. Translators will be on hand to provide assistance also, and so for more information you can call Lisa Lindsay, the transition coordinator at 631-369-3517. We also encourage you to sign up for e-notifications, where you'll be notified via email on upcoming events, and you can kind of pick out which events you'd like to be notified. And you can go to townofriverheadny.gov and click on the e-notification tab on the right. From there, you can enter your email address and name and select what you'd like to be notified of. And Diane has offered from the town clerk's office, if anybody has trouble doing that, you can call over to the town clerk's office and they'll help walk you through that. And then tonight we are also lucky to have the host families of the players of the Riverhead Tomcats. And when we do the proclamations, we'll turn that over to Jody and she can introduce everybody. But to start off, do you wanna start off with yours and then I'll do my proclamation? Would you like to do yours first, or?
No, that's okay. I have a whole speech that Patty gave me, all the information about the host families and the team, so
Okay.
this will be quicker.
So the first presentation is for the Riverhead High School Gay Straight Alliance to receive a proclamation for National Coming Out Day. So if anybody would like to come up and join us for the proclamation, you can come on up front here. Are you the guys from the long crew? You're so quiet. So this is a proclamation on National Coming Out Day, whereas National Coming Out Day began in 1988, and it's an annual internationally observed celebration of those LGBTQ people who have decided to live their lives openly as who they are, and to also provide support for those who, for whatever reason, have not, or are unable to live visibly. And whereas the town of Riverhead recognizes the difficulty and sometimes danger that many in the LGBTQ community face in coming out as who they are to friends, family, and even just publicly holding a loved one's hand. And whereas Riverhead strives to be a place where coming out is as safe and welcoming as possible, and where no person should have to worry how they are perceived when living their lives as who they are, and whereas National Coming Out Day, above all else, though, should serve as a celebration of a person's journey to a realization not only of who they are, but also a turning point from the loneliness and self-denial of concealing one's identity, to the fulfillment of being true to oneself, to claim dignity, empowerment, and self-respect, as well as the tolerance and support from others that is deserved by all. And whereas studies have found that the inclusion of a gay straight alliance and LGBTQ inclusive curriculum in schools has positive impacts in reducing homophobic remarks and feelings of insecurity among LGBT students, and that the town of Riverhead are so proud of the work that the members of the Riverhead High School Gay Straight Alliance are doing to make our students and children feel safe and welcome. Now therefore, let it be known that as an ally, the town of Riverhead must continue to make you feel welcome and against those who face discrimination, and seek to keep alive the uniquely American promise that no matter who you are, you can succeed in our country. And therefore, in recognition of National Coming Out Day, I, along with the entire town board, do hereby recognize October 11th, 2018 as the Coming Out Day in Riverhead, and I am proud to be celebrating this important observance and encourage all residents to continue to work together towards the goal of equality, tolerance, and justice for all. So, I will present
Thank you, please. Can you all squeeze in there?
Are you guys all okay with the picture?
Some over here,
Yeah?
over here,
Okay.
maybe? It's up to you.
Yes, squeeze in here. Okay, move over a little bit. Get in front of us. No, over here. Thank you guys. Thank you for supporting everything.
Thank you for your
Thank you
support.
for coming out.
Okay, so Patty, come on up. Not going to embarrass you.
Maybe a little. Tough skin.
Yeah.
How are you?
So anyway, if you don't know about the Tomcats in Riverhead and the collegiate baseball team that we have that comes to the EPCAL fields every year, you should know about them. The Riverhead Tomcats won the 2018 Hamptons Collegiate League Baseball Championship for the first time in their 10-year history. The Tomcats also had the league batting champ, Louis Santos from Ronkonkoma, who who plays for Queens College, and the league MVP, Eduardo Molinowski from Spring, Texas, plays for the University of Pennsylvania. Eddie was also the championship series co-MVP with Tomcat teammate Chris Steffel from Floral Park. He plays for St. John's University. An exciting season for the Riverhead Tomcats indeed. So, Bob Furlong, God rest his soul, he was a big part of the Tomcats and bringing the Tomcats here and forcing the town board to finish the fields at EPCAL so this great team could have a home field, which they take pride in. And when they go out on that field, they are truly honored to be here in Riverhead. And it wouldn't happen without all the host families that we have, and we're gonna bring them up in a little while, but I just wanted to read a little bit about what these host families do and how talented these players are that are coming to Riverhead every summer to play ball. So, the Hamptons Collegiate Baseball is a nonprofit organization located on the east end of Long Island. The founders, Rusty and Diane Lever of Montauk, had a mission to bring free family entertainment to the east end of Long Island, provide a venue for college ball players to develop their talent and pursue their dreams, and to be role models for the youth of our hometowns. Hampton Collegiate Baseball began in 2008 with one team, the Sag Harbor Whalers, and grew its current 7 teams, with players recruited locally and from across the country. Hampton's Collegiate Baseball is proud to be a supporter by the premier sponsors, Emil Norsik & Son Incorporated, Hampton Jitney, Bridgehampton National Bank, and the many, many local businesses and individuals who share the mission to become one of the top summer collegiate programs in the country. So for all you restaurant owners out there, these Tomcats are hungry, and these host families feed them for the 2 months that they're here. So there's opportunities for you to supply the food for the Tomcats after every game. And when they appreciate it, they appreciate it. And there's not a drop left of the food that's brought to these teams, and there are a lot of businesses that are participating now, but I don't think there's a lot of restaurants that even know that this is happening, which is why I felt it was important to honor the host families and the members of the team, and especially Patty, who stepped in to fill Bob's shoes when we lost him. So the Hampton Collegiate Baseball is a community-based organization. The foundation is the host family program. Each year, families open their hearts and homes and generously provide a safe and comfortable place for the student athletes for their 2-month stay on Long Island. They play top-level competitive baseball and hone their skills. The 40-game schedule includes an all-star game, playoff bracket, and championship series. Off the field, the players give back with community service. The Baseball League partners with the League of Yes to Play Baseball with special needs children's, provide free youth baseball, softball clinics, participate in community events, little leagues, volunteer at local schools, improve local ball fields, and spend time with their host families enjoying the many things that East End provides. This year, Tomcats recognized and raised funds for local organizations and families, including Riverhead Volunteer Ambulance Corps, the TSGT Deshaun Briggs family, Riverhead Police Department, Riverhead Little League, and are looking forward to doing even more in the coming years. After 11 exciting seasons, HCBL is proud to have hundreds of its players drafted by Major League Baseball, and as of 2018 have been called up to the Big League squad, including 2014 Riverhead Tomcat pitcher Corbin Burns. Corbin was drafted in 2016 by the Milwaukee Brewers and called up in July of 2018 and is part of the Brewers' strong bullpen as they head into the National League Championship Series against the LA Dodgers this October, with the potential to pitch in the World Series as a rookie. That's exciting. So, this league wouldn't happen without the generosity of the host families, and I want you all to come up, that everybody that could be here tonight, and the players, and the families, and the kids that have been mentored by these great team players, come up and take a picture, and we have proclamations for you from the town board to really express our appreciation for what you do, and to encourage other families in town that may have a spare bedroom that may be able to host one of these players in the future. So, those empty nest syndrome folks, there's plenty of room for you in Tomcats baseball, so come on up.
Come on up.
Come on.
I'll let you say a few words about the host family.
shy. Nice having a championship team, right?
So I see a lot of the families probably couldn't make it tonight, so I'm gonna read off their names. Deanna and John Andes family, Alaire and Pat Aub family, Emily and Joe Bedell family, Jill and Mike Cheshishny family, did I say that right? Nadia and Anthony Chiramonti, Tracy and Joe Deniseski, Christine and Eric Haas, Karen and Mark Hepner, Jennifer and Luigi Iliano, Linda and Tom Kelly, Eileen and Rick Kruger, Julie and DJ McGivney, Melissa and Jim Messina, Nancy and Jean Rockler, Kerry and Rob Stromsky, Linda and Greg Wallace, Reagan and Everett Ware, Lori and Kevin Zaneski, Kerry Zaneski Whitehead family, and Bob Cheese Zaneski. So, a lot of great families that participate in this league, and you can be part of it. So, thank you all. So, should we just pass these out, and then you guys can figure out who gets what later? Yeah. Here you go. We'll just pass out the photos for the photo. And then afterwards, you guys can hand them in and trade them. Right.
He's got my camera. You don't mind, can I just get everybody to look over here?
Go Tomcats. That's okay. Yeah. And we'll let you guys say a few words as to how people can contact you to get host families to sign up and businesses to donate food.
So, thank you, Jody. Jody's been a longtime supporter of the Tomcats. I think since the beginning. I'd like to introduce Sandy Cruel, is our new incoming president for Hampton's Collegiate Baseball. We're doing a little restructuring. Sandy was part of the inaugural 2008 Sag Harbor Whalers and been with the program ever since. Passionate, doesn't describe, her dedication to this league. So if you could just give Sandy a big round of applause. It's a big job. And these amazing folks are your friends and neighbors. We're a nonprofit organization. It's more than baseball, folks. It's community, it's family, it's giving back, and it's being part of a future player's dream, if that's the path he wants to take. As Jody said, we're proud to have over hundreds of these guys in our 11-year history go on to the major leagues. 6 or 7 right now you can watch on TV at the highest level of Major League Baseball, and our most exciting story unfolding right now. So when you're watching the World Series this week in the playoffs, look for Corbin Burns on the Milwaukee Brewers pitcher. Was with us in 2014. That's the level that we're striving for these developmental summer leagues. We are community-based, we are nonprofit. It's important for our boys. They play a 40-game schedule, come out here, but they do their community service and they do it with a smile. We're down at the Riverhead Little Leagues. We're at the schools helping the kids. Right now we're putting together a fundraiser for Acquaborg Elementary School with donations and stuff. Whatever we can do to give back to the community that supports us. As Jody said, I'd like to thank the town of Riverhead for letting us play at beautiful Veterans Park up at Calverton. We've been there since it's been built. We're at the high school. We love it there. Kudos to Ray Coyne at the rec department and his staff. We can't do it without Riverhead Town, so we appreciate it. We need to get you folks down to the ballpark. Always free. There is no admission to come down. The boys, these student athletes, make it competitive, they make it fun, and we can't do it without these host families. They generously donate their time, money, energy, and just welcome these boys and create lifetime memories. Every one of these have hosted multiple players, multiple years, and like Jody said, These are 18, 19, 20-year-old ball players. They can eat. They can eat. And I have, you know, the good fortune to call each of these people my friends. Very few of them run from me when they see me coming in the spring to host a ball player. Most of them honestly are calling me. So, and they come back year after year because of the experience they have. And they will never know how much that means to me and Hampton's Collegiate Baseball. Sandy and I appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. We have 7 teams currently. We all need host families. Our mission is to do this for the community, keep it free, and have fun, come out here and enjoy some top-level baseball. I'm gonna leave some literature. You come and talk to me, how you can get involved. We're always looking for good people to come down. There's so much to do. If you can't be a host family, we got a job for you, no problem. And you can watch good baseball while you're at it, so thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then I guess you guys can also for,
I don't think thanks for the headers, but I'll give it to Joan for all of it.
good job, guys, thank you. I'll see them so often.
I'm gonna leave some yearbooks
Yeah,
and
yeah.
some flyers and stuff.
Yeah.
I will take the trophy though.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I just need to say, Jim Wooten is not with us here tonight. He had, something else, emergency he had to attend to. He may be joining us later in the meeting. So we shall see if he was able to join us. Right now, I will turn it over, I'll do a first and second. A first and second for approval of the minutes of October 2nd, 2018, 2 p.m.
Motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
The minutes are approved.
All right, I'll turn it over to you, Diane, for reports and
Sure.
correspondence.
And it is small on here,
I
I
know,
have to say.
yeah, I don't know what's going on, it's very
Really,
small
yes,
today.
it is small, but that's okay.
Do you want
I can
the
do it.
paper?
back to my way.
No, I can do it. Under reports, the building department submitted their September 2018 monthly report, and that was $221,997.62. Tax receiver submitted their September 2018 utility collection report, that was $887,697.68. Town clerk September 2018 monthly report was $15,278.18. Under correspondence, we had a letter from PSEG. We had a letter from Bart Badalucco. He was giving thanks and appreciation to town employees. There was a letter from Jamesport Civic Association expressing concerns over safety issues resulting from high traffic volume. Maria Neclario, I'm sorry, excuse me. And she sent a letter expressing concerns over traffic and parking along roadways in the Northville area. And that's it.
All right, you know what I think it is the color is like a light
Yeah,
gray
it's
instead of
light,
black, I
yeah.
think it's better.
Yeah, it's,
So we will open our first public hearing, which was set to begin at 6:05. It is now, 6:30, and this is for Real Life Church of Wading River, a special permit application. So if you'd like to come up and address the board.
I was hoping you'd.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You could just state your name and introduce yourself.
My name is James Manicone. I'm a partner at JM2 Architecture, 2410 North Ocean Avenue, Farmingville, New York, 11738. I am the architect for the applicant, Pastor Matt, as you know. Madam Supervisor, members of the board, good evening.
Before you get underway, I'm gonna ask you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
We come before you, as you know, for a special permit for this expansion to their existing church on Dogwood Drive. To date, we came before ZBA in July for our variance for the overage on the asphalt. That was approved. We came before Planning Board in August. That was approved as well. So here we are with regards to this final stage of this approval process with Town Board. Just to reiterate, the scope of the project is a approximately 6,000 square foot expansion to their existing church with a basement. We are making improvements to the site with regard to drainage, lighting, landscaping, and of course the aesthetics of the building. We tried to keep the characteristics of the neighborhood in our design intent with using like residential-like materials with the products we're using for the building. There is an existing lot across the street that will be tied to the certificate of occupancy. That is overflow parking that has a storage building on it that the church uses for storage of equipment and things like that. But as the project goes, I think we are compliant with all land use regulations, having had the ZBA hearing. Certainly, we've had many discussions, many meetings with Pastor Matt. We feel that this is going to be a vital addition to the Riverhead community. I am personally a resident of Wading River myself. I pass this church many times. So I think that something like this is certainly good for the community, is good for his congregation. His congregation does meet twice, 9 o'clock and 10:30 on Sunday. So that's pretty much the scope. If the board has any questions, or if there are any questions directed to Pastor Matt, I will have him come up as well.
Is any questions from the
Yeah,
board?
have you appeared before the Architectural Review Board as of yet?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, because that will probably be something that you'll have to do, so if you wanted to get the renderings together and
Sure.
make that application, if you already have your application, you've been through planning, then you would have to come into the Architectural Review Board for the
That's fine.
aesthetics of the building.
That's fine.
Okay.
Well, I want to address the issue you addressed with other attorneys, they can keep it open as far as they're addressing the comments that are items that are in the town code.
Yeah, I think that the concern about the traffic at the intersection of Sound Avenue and Dogwood Lane is something that we have agreed to work with the church on, and if it should become a problem, then we would address it in the future and would know that you would work with us. But I think that during the times of your service, that the traffic is not as heavy at that intersection, so we're hoping that it's not going to be a problem, and we'll be able to address it with you in the future if we need to. And then Bob, if you wanted to bring out the other points, the discussion that we had at work session, all of that should be made part of this record of this public hearing.
I was going to ask that, I know that you've met with the board at an work session, you would ask that those comments and that back and forth would be incorporated as part of today's hearing, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Also, in the past, when we've had special permits, there are certain items to be considered by the town board, specifically at section 301-312. I'm not sure if you're prepared to address them point by point today. In the past, we've allowed applicants to submit further written comments. For example, there are, in 301-312, subsections A through R, so they're quite numerous. You've touched upon some of them today, about whether, the area is suitable for the use, whether the plot area is sufficient. But in the past, we've had applicants address them item by item. Is that something that you would do at a later date and submit to us before the written comment period?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Sure.
So you want all the criteria for the special permit to address it item by item, whether it's applicable or not?
Understood, absolutely.
Okay, so we would ask that you do that. The size of the plots, the lot sizes together with both the current lot and the overflow lot, what is the acreage that's total, if you know?
I believe it's, just under, it's about 2.5 acres.
Okay.
Okay. So we would ask you to submit that and supplement it.
Absolutely.
Before the close of the comment period, written period, okay?
I think Mr. Murphy is from our planning department, I think he can answer that question.
Okay.
But the criteria for the special permit, the applicant has to identify that they're eligible for the special permit by meeting the criteria. So if you go A, and this is what it's saying, and then you respond.
Yeah, of course.
B,
Mhm.
respond. C, respond.
We will comment in writing.
Thank you.
Very good, thank
Submit.
you.
Sure.
And also, just, for a comment, before you spoke, you handed up the affidavits of publishing and posting and the affidavit of the, property being properly, posted with signage, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we'll deem them also part of the record.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Murphy, did you wanna address the size of the, do you have that information?
Good evening, Jefferson Murphy, Building and Planning Administrator. The two properties together total 1.996 acres, and the one property is 0.38 acres, so you would have to subtract out the one from the other, you get about 1.6 acres for the main property, and then approximately 0.38 for the smaller property.
And Mr. Murphy, generally, with the special permits, for the criteria for the special permits, I know that we haven't asked the applicants to address each and every point, but it seems to be what we'd like to do now, or that the question, so I think for further moving forward, that any applicant that comes in for a special permit, they can address each one of those items to provide, prior to the special hearing, for not only for us, but for the public.
I think that's an essential part of the application to us, so I think going forward, in order to deem the application complete, they should address that so that we have it at the beginning of the application process.
Okay, I think that's a good idea. Is there anybody from the public that would like to come up and comment? Any other comments from the board?
I just wanted to make a comment that we did discuss at length the traffic concerns of that area, so I certainly hope that is addressed. It's a busy intersection, and then particularly during our fall harvesting season.
Yeah, I know it
I've seen
well.
it backed up, so.
Know it
that's
well.
That's a very, if you live in Wading River, you know, you do know it well.
I live right up past Little Flower, I know it well.
I think that one of the things that we had discussed during the work session is that you state the times of the service, and that it doesn't fall into that afternoon fall traffic. So I think that to be conscious of that moving forward, I think that you had addressed that the service times would stay, consistent with the earlier morning hours, not to fall into to that busier time.
Correct.
Okay. All right, seeing nobody else, Bob, do I close the public comment then? Okay, I'll close the public comment portion, but leave it open till October 26th, 2018 for written comment. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this time, I will start the public scoping session, for the preparation of the draft environmental impact statement for 203-213 East Main Street, Riverhead, New York, described as Suffolk County Tax Map number 600-129-1-17, 18, 19, and 20, located on 1.42 acres, proposed as mixed use, 170 unit residential, 3,442 square feet of retail, 5 stories, that's it for the public scoping session.
Good evening, Madam Supervisor, members of the board. My name is Philip Malachi. I'm with the firm of Nelson, Pope and Voorhees of Melville. We'll be preparing the draft environmental impact statement that will be scoped here and issued as a final document in the future by the town. We're not prepared at this time to give a formal presentation for the project, but we did bring our architect, and the applicant is here as well to answer whatever questions you may have.
Okay, I just have one question. At the last meeting, we had asked for it to be posted, that today was going to be the public scoping session. I know that it was kind of just put up as a handwritten note on the property. I just have to say that I was a little disappointed with the way that it was posted on the property. I know it's not an obligation to post, but I think when you had left here last time that it was agreed that something would be put up there. As I said, it just was a little disappointing to see how it was posted.
We apologize for that oversight. Will there be any other requirements to post from the board?
As we move forward with the process, but we didn't, at this time when we did this, we didn't have a requirement to be posted. We asked for it to be posted, and as I said, I was just disappointed in the way that it was posted.
Well, again, I apologize for that oversight.
So did you want to come up and address the project, to describe it a little to the community? We haven't had the architect here before. I know last time we had asked to come to provide some information, I think.
My understanding was,
Rendering.
I was not at the previous scoping hearing. I was not aware that there was that question before the public. We do have, like I said, our architect is here, but again, I am not prepared to give a presentation of the project beyond what my supervisor, Mr. Voorhees, prepared and presented 2 weeks ago.
Well, then I have to say again, I'm a little disappointed, because we did ask at the end of the last meeting if some representation of what was proposed to be built there for the community to see, at this presentation, to be available to the public.
Our architect is here. He has brought some boards
Okay,
to
then-
show.
Sure. We're gonna get a stand for you. Yeah, maybe if we could just put it.
Is that all right?
Mhm.
Okay, so as you had mentioned, Madam Supervisor, in the scoping report.
You know what I'm gonna say, I don't know, can you hear? No. All right, so you know what, if you could just put the picture up there, and then we can.
Okay, first of all, my name is Joe Barbagallo. I'm with GKV Architects in New York, 675 Third Avenue.
Could you restate your name? I don't think we caught it.
I'm sorry?
Joe, is it Joe?
Joseph, Joseph, Barbagallo, Barbagallo. And as it was stated in the scoping report, it's a 5-story mixed-use building, primarily residential, with a retail component on the first floor facing Main Street. There's 170 total units of residential apartments, a combination of studios, 1-bedrooms, and 2-bedroom units. The building is built primarily on a podium of a parking level on the first floor that slopes down towards the river in the back, the water in the back. And there's 88 parking spaces provided currently proposed on the design right now. The building is 5 stories, it's 60 feet high to the top of the pitch of the roof, and it's constructed of materials that are cement stucco, metal panels, and a metal roof currently. The building is designed in almost a fingerboard type of an arrangement. If I can show you on the plan. It's a fingerboard type arrangement that's open up towards the side of where the Arts Center is. And in between the fingers, which are wings of the building, we propose some landscaping and open plazas in the middle to kind of soften the openness of the site, as well as providing light and air for the residential units.
It was hard to see on the drawings that were presented if you're going to abut another building that's under construction.
Right,
What,
right.
what was on that side of the building between the fingers that you say are coming out?
Well, they're really, that would be the east side of the building is pretty much a wall that's directly abutting the building that's fronting McDermott Street.
And that's the whole length of the building itself?
Yes, yes.
Because I thought the original architectural plans, when it was discussed with the Architectural Review Board and with the applicant, is that there would be an access where both properties you'd be able to walk instead of just a solid wall on the east side of the building. It was supposed to be opened up, which is why there was a requirement for 2 elevators instead of 1 elevator in the building, because
Well, there is an access on the, from Main Street to the water on the west side of the building. That's a direct access. It's not on the east side. Yep, yep.
Rob Muchnick, 9 Ebcud Court, Oakdale. I'm the applicant. Councilwoman Giglio, it's not quite accurate. How you remembered it, there was no, we didn't have to provide walking access, just light. That's why between our two middle buildings, we lowered the height from 5 floors down to 1 floor. And that's why we needed the elevators. But we dropped that section from 5 floors to 1 to get light into Dave Gallo's courtyard, the adjacent building.
Okay,
But there was no one ever asked for us to let people walk through.
I'll go back and look at the minutes.
Okay. I mean, we just can't anyway. I mean, it was not a requirement and
Do you
we,
recall that
I don't
also?
remember us asking for a walkway, I remember being told there was going to be green space between the two buildings.
no, there's light, but no green space between the buildings, no. That was never part of our arrangement with the ARB. Even Sean didn't ask for that one.
Oh, yes, he did.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Can you just clarify, I'm a little confused on the wording in your documents. So the cellar level is the parking,
Correct,
and then the ground level is the retail?
correct.
And then floors 3 through 5 are the apartments?
2 through 5, yes.
That's where it gets a little confusing.
That's what's confusing to me.
Because you have
That's
the,
6 stories.
you have the building pitched from the middle. Is it underground parking or above ground parking?
It's it's underground on Main Street because of the slope of the property from Main Street back towards the water, and it's open on the water side. So
Okay.
it's partially below grade and partially above grade on the south side of the building.
Do you have any residential above the partially below grade parking?
Yes, there's residential above the whole parking level, pretty much.
But do you have residential above any of the parking that's partially underground?
Yes.
Because on the first floor, we require retail.
There's retail directly accessible from Main Street, directly from Main Street on the same level. As you go back into the building going south, the second floor is actually raised above the ground level about 5.5 feet. So
it's
we
not-
call that we call that our mezzanine level.
I
And that's
call
the
where you
first-
have the residential, the ground level. If you're having the parking partially underneath, the first level needs to be retail, according to our zoning.
Right, and we presented that to zoning and, well, actually not to zoning, we presented it to the building department, and it was accepted as it was designed. 5.5 feet above
I
the
don't know,
grade
I
level.
think it was presented, I don't know that it was accepted.
Well, we have we addressed all of the building department's comments on our site plan review, and they were all addressed and
Well,
removed.
I guess that's what I'm saying, as part of the scoping, I'm not understanding why you don't have retail on the first floor, and to address why there's not retail on the first floor.
Well, there is retail on the first. There's retail on the first floor accessible directly from Main Street.
Well, the first floor is the whole building, whatever is the first floor of the whole building. The code doesn't call just for retail on Main Street. It calls for the first floor to be retail, not residential.
Well, this is what we designed and presented to
Okay.
and it was accepted as far as we know.
The first floor is only retail,
There's only 3,000.
and then there's a step up of 5.5 feet, which goes to what you referred to as the mezzanine level,
That's correct.
which you would call floor number 2.
That's correct.
And then 3, 4, and 5 above that were the apartments.
Right. And it's within the 60-foot maximum height limit.
And that 60-foot range was taken as a median height between the front of the building and the back of the building?
That's correct, sir.
Well, visually, I'm looking at your rendering, and visually from the front, from the street side, it appears to be 5 floors, but from the rear, it appears to be 6.
Well, the
It
rear,
looks even more
what the
immense.
additional floor you're seeing is the parking level, that's fully
I
accessible.
understand that.
So one of my other questions that I have is the choice of the building materials. I believe, I would like you to address how that fits into the character of downtown. I believe you have stucco and metal,
That's correct.
and would just like it to be addressed how that fits into the character of our downtown.
Well, When we presented the building originally to the Architectural Review Board, we had materials that we felt were a little bit more residential. Our direction from the Architectural Review Board was to make it a little bit more modern, and we followed their direction. And it was redesigned and presented and approved by the ARB.
It was approved, do you have an approved
Yes.
resolution by the Architectural
I'm
Review
sure
Board?
we have one.
I don't believe so.
No, they didn't give us a formal letter saying they approved it, they told us they like it.
Well, and they told us not only did they like it, they did instruct us to proceed with our site plan submission.
I mean, unless we see an approval from the ARB, I mean, someone's saying they like it, I mean, that's, to me, I consider that hearsay. So I would wanna see it on paper.
Well, no, we would, I don't think it's hearsay. The Architectural Review Board told us that that they approved what we presented and told us to submit the drawings to the site plan.
Well,
for site plan
I serve as
review.
the liaison to the Architectural Review Board, and there's paperwork that they fill out.
Oh, I understand
when
there's
they do
paperwork, but
approvals.
we did not just move along with our site plan review without approval from, may not be in writing, but they did give us verbal approval to go ahead and submit the drawings to the site, for site plan review.
Okay, so now I will tell you what happened, which was a
Okay.
joint meeting of the Landmarks Preservation Commission and the Architectural Review Board, where they were trying to figure out how these two buildings would fit in downtown right next to each other. And there were discussions that were had about the fingers and about the materials, and with every Architectural Review Board presentation, you have to provide the materials, the colors, actual samples, and that was never done. So you have to come back to the Architectural Review Board. I'm no longer liaison. I know that the Landmarks Preservation Commission doesn't like, new buildings or buildings that are being knocked down and new buildings that are being built to be competing with the historic buildings. They want it to create its own history at the time that it's being built. So that's why they asked for the contemporary buildings, and that's why they asked for that at the Preston House, and then also at Mr. Gallo's building with the stone and the brick and the different types of material to make it look like several buildings on a 300-foot run rather than just one solid color, 300 feet going down the whole street. And it came to roof design and things of that nature also. And I know that there were several comments that you were going to come back to the Architectural Review Board, so I'm sure that Ms. Kent, as the new liaison, will look forward to seeing, the materials, colors, and the design that you have proposed.
And the Architectural Review Board and the Landmarks work together on occasion, but the Architectural Review Board is separate. So, I would like to, obviously, I would expect you guys to come before the ARB.
A couple questions I have as far as, it was hard to tell from some of the drawings, how you're addressing, traffic flow in and out of the proposed residence, and what is going into the back of the building. Is there, is the back of the building, where do you have your loading docks and unloading, things like that for the retail? Where do you have for tenants moving in and out? For trash pickup? How is all of that, being addressed?
Right, there's a trash pickup is, towards the front of the building in the lower level. Access to the parking.
So where would somebody access that from? The back of the building or the front of the building?
Towards the front of the building.
So in the front entrance of the building, it would be picked up there?
It would be picked up towards the front, underneath, inside the front of the building where the parking level is. There is a trash room.
So how far back off from the curb cut in the front of the building,
Off
you're
the
saying?
front of the building, it's probably 25 feet, I would say. Not looking at the plans.
So somebody would drive into the,
You would have to drive into the parking level and then access the trash room and then drive back out.
and so you would go back out the back of the building then?
That's correct.
And is that the only entrance to the building to enter the parking lot where the truck will be stopped?
That's correct.
And you've addressed the height that a garbage truck could get in there?
It's not for a full-height garbage truck. It would be, garbage would have to be brought to the back and then picked up, from the back.
Well, this is something that I think that we would definitely wanna see in the scoping hearing for the secret determination, because garbage is a big problem that we have in downtown Riverhead, and We obviously want any building, especially a new building that's being proposed, to be able to manage the garbage.
Right, and there's also for an access aisle, an access roadway from East Main Street towards the back where a garbage truck can certainly, use that to pick up garbage as well.
I believe you're required to load and unload in the back of the building, not on the side of the building. So I'd like for you to address that.
Well, your site is located in the historic district and directly adjacent to an open art space.
Right.
So because you're in a historical and cultural area, with your building and the Riverloft right next door, I think you're gonna be able to be the dominant structures on Main Street. So how would you address that with the immense size?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you elaborate on that?
Is there some way that you feel you've addressed that you're in the historic district, or that you are directly next door to the,
Yes,
to an
in fact, we did. One of the reasons the building was designed with the finger aesthetic was that we opened up the building towards that side, and we have our access lane going from Main Street down to the river, which basically joins the properties together, so to speak, aesthetically, so that we did not.
Is that on the rendering that's away from us? Can you just, is that?
I don't think you would see it here, but I can show you. Here's where the arts center is. These are the wings of the building here. These are our landscape areas in the middle, and this is our roadway from Main Street down to the water. This grade actually comes in and matches our grade at some point towards the south of our building. So if you wanted to, you can actually walk from the arts center onto our property. You can if you wanted to. Small retaining wall in the front that kind of separates the two buildings. That's not a new curb cut, that's the existing curb cut that used to be alongside the Sears building that goes down.
This here would be a new curb cut.
It would be a new curb cut?
Is this one good?
How big is the current curb cut?
Would need to be about, I don't know, about 25 feet.
And I thought in our preliminary discussions with the landmarks and the architectural review board, that was going to be a walkway. Is that correct?
It's an access road, and it's also a walkway, yes.
Okay, so that's something that I would like discussed and studied also, as to how you're gonna have an access road and a walkway in the same 25 feet area.
And how that fits into the character of this building and the art space next door. One of the other issues, as I know you have the wings coming out there, one of the issues I have is the light that will be coming into the courtyards there, as well as the light from the building, that the light that will be affected, or the lack of light that may happen with the art center there, with the building right next door to it. So I would like that to be studied, what impact that building will have on the East End Arts.
Right, so
Facility.
we did discuss that in the last scoping hearing with the shadowing effect that it would have on the adjoining properties. So that already, I believe, is already in the scope of something that the board would like to see.
So the public's aware, we have presented our request for the scoping to be presented through the secret process. This is really a matter for the public to come up and talk. We know what we like and don't like, and we've submitted same, but we really need to hear from the public on this and hear what your concerns are about this project. And I will also say, I think this is a pretty poor presentation tonight. I'm sorry, but that's how I feel.
So, but, okay.
In your paperwork, you talk about how, this is in response to an expressed need of the town and community action for these type of residences. What is the source of these records, these town records? What is your source? Where did you determine, what records did you look at to determine that we needed more affordable housing? Missing out town records.
I believe the document we referred to is the downtown revitalization plan that the town board adopted several years ago.
And are you
That was-
comparing that to the apartments that we currently have in place? I think it has to be looked at with, we have, have approved some apartments till since that study was done, and does that still hold true?
Yes.
Well, we'd like you to study that.
Well, yes, yeah,
Yeah.
we will be, yes.
So at this point, if anybody from the public would like to come up, yep, you can just come up, state your name.
Good evening. My name is Janice Scherer, and I live in Bating Hollow. I'm also a professional town planner. You might have seen me before. I work for the town of Southampton. Although I am here, my comments are my own and do not represent the town, but I did have a chance to review the draft scope. I've reviewed many DEISs prepared by Nelson Pope and Voorhees, and I'd like to offer some recommendations on the extent and quality of information that should be required in the DEIS. I didn't have a lot of time, so I did write down some comments that I'll enter into the record, and then, I don't know how much time I have here on the podium, if I can go through the scope or not.
Yes, you can.
So I'd also like to comment that I'm on the Downtown Revitalization Committee with a group of dedicated individuals who are trying to help the town formulate a vision to what Main Street and the surrounding areas have the potential to become. It is so important to get this right. And how do you know if you're getting it right? The DEIS is going to inform you, and you are the lead agency, am I correct?
Correct.
So I apologize because I'm not understanding this process of getting approvals before the lead agency has a chance to review something. So that does not make sense to me. You are the lead agency, you coordinate with those entities, and you take that information as a recommendation. So there is no approval outside of your approval, as far as I know. That's how so this DEIS and this scope, what you ask for is going to determine what kind of information you need to understand to see the impacts of this kind of development. So far from what I've seen of this proposal, it looks like a massive building that is cited to max out the dimensional standards of the code without regard to context, scale, or the overarching goals of the town. In addition, it does not consider the Peconic River as a wild scenic recreational river resource and the view shed from there. This needs to be indicated in the scope. And these goals are articulated in all the town studies that the taxpayers funded, and I would like to see them addressed, point by point. So, most importantly, the information that is clearly missing is the visual impacts of this proposed building, along with the community impacts of increased density without enough parking, no plan to contribute to public parking or neat understanding of public parking, more traffic, school district impacts, and increased energy consumption, which I am privy to what PSEG is planning for this East End, and we need to start thinking about generating on-site renewable energy when these massive buildings are being built. So then I'd like to just turn to the actual scope, if I may. I have the scope dated August 30th. I don't know if it's been updated since then, but I will just mention that on page 1, it says that the document will address potential impacts for both an all-affordable unit scenario and an all-market rate unit scenario. I would note that no matter what you do, you're going to have workforce housing that increases the density on top of whatever your yield is. So 170 isn't the final number. If you're doing market rate, then you're going to get another density bonus on top of that, as of right. So that needs to be addressed in the scope. Page 2, it says in the project description that, you know, it talks about what you were just discussing with the applicant, the cellar parking level, and it says, these spaces will be available to the project residents on a monthly basis. Patrons of the project's retail spaces will park elsewhere. Where? I don't know. So that's an important point that needs to be discussed, assessed. I know you had a parking plan, study done, that should be comported with. Page 3, again, it's talking about a total of 270 spaces required, and they're only providing 88. So this is an issue. The impacts of that. In the page 5, the description of the proposed project under 1.4, project design and layout, has no category for open space, plaza, or river access, which I would include in that scope as a category. Under section 3, there is no, it says human environmental resources, land use zoning and plans. There is no category for aesthetic resources and community character. It does have a section for visual resources, existing conditions, anticipated impacts, and proposed mitigation, which obviously needs a lot more information. It says alternative 1 is no action, which they will tell you doesn't meet the project sponsor's objectives. Number 2 says hotel development. I don't know why this is an alternative or what this means. I think that in the my other comments, there should be a feasibility analysis to determine the potential demand for all these things. We talk all the time on the downtown committee about how there's a lot of vacant space. Now with next door Riverloft, there's going to be more retail space. Where's the analysis of what the market can absorb? I think that needs to be in the scope. It goes through 5 different alternatives, but none of the alternatives talk about lowering these heights of these buildings and working on, you know, solar ready, the access, pitched roofs. I absolutely disagree with the Landmarks Board, with respectfully. I don't think everything has to be modern in the downtown. I work for the town of Southampton. There's no such thing there. You see buildings that look like they belong there. So I don't understand that view. I think using cheap materials like cement, stucco, and metal is inappropriate. Page 7, public need for the proposed project will be discussed. Again, you asked Phil, how? How do you know that this is needed? Again, what is that feasibility? What population is affected by this project? And what is the public need? It says, provide an assessment of how the proposed project, including its proposed community benefits. What are they? I don't even know. That doesn't articulate what even the community benefits offered are. Also include a discussion of the community benefits expected to accrue from the proposed project. What does that mean? Is there any retail space that's made affordable? Is it just the affordable housing, the plaza space, the river access? All of these things should be included as public benefits. And is there any tax abatement that's going to be asked? In this section, I believe that the existing and historic use of the property ownership, and all related background information should be provided in the DEIS. Existing site conditions should include actual soil borings to understand the groundwater situation at the back toward the river. On page 7, it says, provide tables summarizing the various significant site quantities. I have no idea what that means. So I would like to point out that that should be articulated so the layperson could understand it. And then it says the loss of parking, etc. So I don't think, you know, that's an impact. What are you doing to mitigate that impact? They do talk about the applicability of the Long Island Workforce Housing Act, which will say, oh, we get 10%, but what are the impacts of 170 plus 10%? The site drainage, I think that you have to plan for resiliency, and a 2-inch rainfall event is not adequate. So therefore, the rainfall and drainage systems, and I have more on that in what I'll submit to the record. Utility and services should, as I mentioned, assess providing a % of power generation and storage on site. It says provide projected number of residents and school-aged children. I would say to that, I'm sorry, where is it? what are you using to determine that? Is it the Rutgers study, Long Island Housing Partnership? Is there any empirical data based on recent development projects? So the extent and quality of information of where this is coming from is important to put in the scope, where you have to agree to what kind of information there. It's not just, random.
Information.
It has to be, data from somewhere. So where are you getting this data from? There's no category for air quality or fugitive dust related to construction impacts. And then, once again, I just would say that community character is so important, that there's so many revitalization plans and so much discussion about what to do in the downtown, that this is the most important subject of the DEIS, and the design should revolve around, this isn't here yet, this doesn't exist, this is on paper. We can't do this and we won't do that, it doesn't make any sense to me because it's not there.
And
So,
I think alternative sites as well, from a DC1 to some of the other downtown districts that could support other buildings.
so the significance of this visual, the viewing public, the view accessibility from the river, the all different angles of what this is gonna look like versus this, I think is very important. And in addition, I added, many, bullets on traffic, what the traffic impact study should include, cumulative impacts, and growth-inducing impacts. And that's about it, but I'll submit this.
You'll submit it for the record, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have concerns that Janice brought up some concerns of the Downtown Revitalization Committee and all the studies that have come through in Riverhead. All of the studies talk about highlighting the river and the fact that our town is on the Peconic River and the beauty of the river. And to me, the design that I'm looking at does not highlight the river in any way. To me, it blocks the design you have is blocking the river and blocking the light from onto Main Street and invading the space of the art studio and the light there.
Good evening,
Yep.
town members, board members. My name is Ellen Hoyle, I'm from Riverhead, New York, and I'm gonna apologize right now because I grabbed the wrong glasses. Okay. So the lead agency, being the town board, seeks to include issues identified during the scoping process that are relevant to the preparation of the DEIS for the proposed project, is my understanding.
Correct.
Okay, the following are issues that should be addressed and found lacking on their face alone. In the very start of the draft, the document indicates that the purpose of the project is to, quote, introduce affordable end market value rental apartments as a means to achieve the broader goal to renew, revive, and rehabilitate the downtown Riverhead Hamlet area, end quote. However, it also states later on that only market value units are being considered and not affordable units. It gives the impression that should affordable units be considered, they would make up the entirety of the units. There is no consideration for a mixed use. I'm not an expert on housing, I assume that they're allowed to have mixed use. So what is the impact of not providing more affordable housing? It appears to be a mere attempt to gentrify the area even more and make it unaffordable for our regular citizens. The site itself. The site of the building runs from East Main Street to the northern boundary of the Peconic Riverfront Park. This would infringe on the enjoyment of the park by other citizens of the town, as the remainder of the open area would be private property, allowing no public access such as a walkway or entry into the riverfront area. The building itself would be as a modern design, as you can see here, approximately 60 feet tall with 4 wings extending east to west. Based on the description that I heard, I'm now visualizing this a little bit better, and I'm thinking of the home that I grew up in. The home that I grew up in was on a hill, facing downward. When you would look at the house, you would see the first floor and a high roof. So you would think a ranch with a garage with a high roof. When you walked around the side and in the back of the building, you would now realize that you were actually looking at a 3-story building. Because it had grown from that one floor down the grade up to 3 floors that you couldn't see from the front of the building. To me, it appears that this is an actual 6-story building. You're only seeing the 5 floors from the front, but when you go around to the back of the building, you're going to see 6 floors. This does not in any way fit in with the look and feel of the current surrounding buildings along Main Street. I would like to assume that the other 2 complexes and Preston House were aberrations that we do not seek to repeat with this project. This is a historic district and any building should conform to that look and feel. We should not have to take the design offered. If the developer wishes to build, they can do it within the confines of the current town cultural and historical aesthetics. Just because a builder provides you one design does not mean that that is the one design you have to take. The overall height will account for, as we now know, 6 floors, not 5. This is, I feel, lending to the cultural resources of the town, downtown, a dangerous path that is displaying a lack of a comprehensive community planning system. Tall buildings that cut off light and block scenic views have a severe impact not only on the look and feel of the town, but on the environment. The shadows cast by these buildings have the potential to greatly impact the delicate ecosystem of the river and riverfront areas. A total of 88 parking stalls are proposed to be included. The ground floor will include 3 retail storefronts. There will be a cellar parking level, which will include 88 with 2 additional parallel parking stalls. According to the document provided by MP&V, this project combined with the Riverview lofts will represent 288 dwellings. The 170 units proposed there would require 255 stalls per the Riverhead Parking Code and 15 spaces for retail parking. Using the formula provided in their own document of 1.5 stalls for each unit would mean that you are now up to, between the 2 projects, 432 parking stalls. Parking spaces will be on a month-to-month basis. Will there be a charge for these spaces, and will they be required to be used by tenants, or will they be optional? If they are optional, then that leaves less parking for the public to access the current retail and riverfront areas. The document also specifies that no spaces will be made available for retail stores. This, I feel, would have the opposite effect of attracting business and conforming with the purpose of the business development plan, but would instead chill the idea of any reasonable business person. Traffic and patronage would be limited to foot traffic alone, especially if public spaces are taken up by the residents of the units, which will be highly likely given the shortage of parking. The document admits that the fact that there will be an impact on traffic, especially during peak hours, and increased demands on schools, public, and municipal services. Currently, our water district infrastructure is failing. With the much additional demand, can it be sustained at all? As usual, should any abatements be granted, demand on these services will be increased without a corresponding offset. Any study should include the total comprehensive study of these items, both for economic and personnel impacts, and not be limited to the scope indicated in the draft. Under cultural resources, the documents mention any anticipated impacts of the proposed project on the cultural and historic resources, end quote. Among the cultural resources is the Business Improvement District. The loss of parking available to the public and the viability of maintaining current and future businesses with a loss of available parking must be closely examined. Businesses in the area may be severely limited to foot traffic for their future. It then goes on to the subject of visual resources, that it must include a text description of the site's appearance and character within the overall community. that it also states it will include any anticipated impacts of the proposed project on visual resources will be determined and fully disclosed, the change of visual character of the site. These renderings here are merely pulled out of the architectural plan that was made available on the website. This is the most vital portion of this scope. I would propose that the textual description is woefully insufficient. As part of the scope should be a visual representation of this impact, and the ideal would be a request of a 3D rendering of the site and its surrounding areas be displayed, not just for the town board and planners, but for the public as well, as they will be the most impacted. Why a 3D model can't be created by an architectural firm, I assume it can be. I do not wish to take up much more of your time in discussing the importance of maintaining and planning for the cultural aesthetics of our town and its historical and personal meaning to all of us. However, I will state that we thrive ourselves on being a tourist destination for those living up the island and in the city and over beyond. Tourism, by definition, means visiting some place that is different or unique. No one wants to visit some place they live. We as a community must allow ourselves to stand out from the ordinary. To do that, we must stop trying to look at any other nearby areas for our solutions and instead look beyond them. We are also prideful of our agricultural business. Can they grow under a restrained infrastructure in a congested community? Housing is not evil, and it is not a bad by its nature, but this project is not the solution we need at this time, and I hope that by requiring a detailed scope encompassing what has been laid out, we can see what the project is not, that the project is not right for what we need. I would also, I'd like to present to the board an article that I did not write, and I do not take credit for, but which I think would be of importance to you. And I have a copy for all the board members as well as the town clerk. It's called The Secrets to a Successful Community and discusses this particular type of project.
Hi, I'm Lori Downs. I'm a sitting Riverhead School Board trustee. However, I'm representing myself tonight. First, I want to say this is the shabbiest presentation I've seen in years. I'm not impressed at all. I want to thank the two previous speakers and the board, because the questions that you brought up left me with really not much to say, because a lot of the stuff is generally right there. These are the questions that need to be asked that have been presented. However, first off, I'm here to thank the board members that at the previous scope that took into consideration the influx of students entering into the Riverhead School District. I also would like to ask the entire board to please follow suit with that. The predictions of children are crazy and never realistic when they what is that called?
Generate their number.
Yeah, when they generate their number, it's never as realistic as what happens. Everyone knows you can have more than one child in a one-bedroom apartment. The district, from my own personal point of view, is filled to the brim. We just completed a building project, and at this point, we have approximately 2,000 students within the high school. I'm very concerned of what will happen once this apartment building is completed. I'm concerned for the children that'll be brought into an overcrowded district. It's not good for them. It's not good for education. It's not good for the teachers. I'm also concerned for the taxpayer and what the kind of a burden it's going to be on them because, and their pocketbooks, because we all know it's going to end up being pilots, and the pilots never cover the exact number of kids or the exact amount to cover the kids. I'm not against development at all. I am against another apartment building and the damage that it could do not only to our school district, but to our downtown. I don't think we really need that many apartments, and I would really like to see, if anything, 55 and older. There are grandmas and grandpas that really need affordable housing to live in, and there's not enough of it here in Riverhead. So, once again, I want to ask the board to consider the school district in this project and also in any other housing project that comes up in the future. Thanks.
Thank you. One other question I had to the applicant is just as far as entrance and exits to the building, the front end, what will be the entrance to the apartments? That will be on Main Street? Or where is that proposed? And are there entrances to the buildings, to each one of the buildings?
Entrance to the apartments are from the side into the elevators that lead up into the building. There's no residential entrance on Main Street.
I believe that is what the zoning is asked for, is the entrance to be on the Main Street or the rear of the building, but not from the side streets. One of the other questions I have also is, just to address, in town we have, for multiple dwellings, we have a park and recreation fee, for multiple, residents, and I'm just would like to see how that is being addressed. And is the green space in between the buildings considered, was all of that open to the public?
That's not open to the public, no.
So that none of that would be public space?
No.
And the roadway going from the front of the building to the back of the building, that would be public space?
That's on private property, that's
So
all.
none of that would be public space?
So again, I can't see the benefits. You guys are not showing me the benefits for our town.
Going back to the ARV, sorry, Joe, maybe, we were, the path from the Main Street to the water, we were going to allow it to be open to the public. So, to be used for access. We were going to do that.
But that's not the plan, at this particular time that you're planning?
It's on the plan, but it's not noted, that,
So-
Well, until we see it in the plan, we don't know that it's happening.
right, well, the path is there, it's just we didn't say who it's for, but that was what the point was, to make it, something like grass pavers, so, it's green and you can walk on it, and it's just really for emergency access for vehicles, but mostly for walking.
Of the apartment dwellers?
No,
The public,
For the
that's what
public?
the ARB had discussed and
Yes.
asked for.
yes.
Okay, 'cause I guess we're getting conflicting information
Yeah,
here.
so I wanted to clear that up. I wanted to, and I think we do have an entrance on Main Street. We do have an entrance the main entrance is on Main Street for the
But
apartments.
each one of the apartment units, each one of the arms that are coming out will have a separate entrance other than the front of the building?
There's entrances from the basement, from the parking level, and also from Main Street.
So those
That's
will
it.
be the only two entrances?
Yeah.
There'll be no access from the back of the building?
Once you drive into the parking garage, there are multiple entrances on that level.
So, but there'll be no access from anybody from the water side, it will just be a tall building?
Correct.
Good evening. My name is Mary Beth Andresen. I live in Aquabog, New York, and I've been a resident of this town since Mr. Hubbard was a child.
Oh, that was only 20 years ago.
Yesterday? No.
I didn't have anything prepared. I really have not been in town meetings in many, many years. I used to be quite a good attendee, and have sort of fallen by the wayside. And I'm just looking at our downtown, and it is destroying me. We have probably the prettiest area with that river, and we are not using it. We're not using it to our benefit. That is what it's about. You want people to come to your little town. You want people to enjoy Riverhead. They enjoy Port Jefferson. When I was a kid, you wouldn't go to Port Jefferson. It was a dangerous area. My grandmother wouldn't let me. You don't go to downtown Port on your bicycle. No, we did not go. But Look at Port Jefferson today. Cute little boutiques, ice cream parlors, Starbucks. It is adorable, little silver shops. This is what we could have. Look at downtown Stony Brook. I mean, I remember Stony Brook before the university. But they still have their lovely downtown. And that's what we're missing here, guys. We don't need a Mineola, because I used to say we were going to look like Centereach when Joe Janowski was here. And now I say, no more Centereach. We look like Mineola. Drive past it on the expressway. That's what you're looking, that's what this is. This is Manhattan, Queens. This is not Eastern Long Island. Look, this is us. Not this proposal. I'm sorry. It's overcrowded, too dense, not enough parking, and I don't know if anybody here remembers the year we had the bad nor'easter when the river was on Main Street. The river was on Main Street. There was no place to pump the water because there was the river was on Main Street. And Sweezy's flooded, the bank flooded, everything flooded, including his underground garage. And maybe his first floor, which would be the businesses. Think about it. You've got a lot coming through on your DEIS. I could love to be as eloquent as the woman that preceded me. That was fantastic. She had every single point. I'm sure there's some she even missed. Please look hard. I think I speak for myself, no one else. I don't want to see this in my town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Beth, and welcome back to town board meetings. I hope we'll see you again. And I would hope that projects that come into our downtown area reflect the community character of our main street. And yes, look at the picture. We're an agricultural area with a historic downtown and along a beautiful river.
You need to look no further than directly across the street where you're proposing to build this, between the beautiful church and Mrs. Daraska, Dr. Daraska, from what I remember. That house, those are two of the nicest pieces of real estate in this town. And to be mammouthed out by something like this right across the street, this doesn't do it for me. I'm sorry.
Speaking of the church, of course, I think people brought up last time the pile drivings. We'd like you to identify the potential impacts of friction pile driving. Have you guys looked into that, or?
The helicoil versus the pounding.
So we will submit,
But that's part of the
it's
study.
It'll
it's
be
part
part
of
of
the, part of the study. We
Right.
present everything, I believe we have to, Jeff, we have to present it by the first,
November 3rd.
November 3rd.
I just met with, the church, this afternoon. We walked around the church because I want to be proactive.
And get on the same page as the church, and we came to the conclusion jointly, I think they would agree, that they have substantial damage, but it's all cosmetic. They have substantial cosmetic damage from the adjacent building. And we're seeing if we can come to some sort of agreement as to what kind of piles I would put in. And I think we're having a nice friendly conversation, and we started that conversation, and I don't think it'll be a problem.
You don't think what will be a problem?
I think
Which
we will
type?
handle it between ourselves.
Well,
If
I
they-
think that you'll address it in the DIS and then the town board will decide
Of course,
then.
we'll address it,
Yeah.
there are multiple different kinds of piling systems, and we'll address the different piling systems.
Well, we look forward to seeing your response in the DIS. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board? Seeing nobody, we will move on to resolutions. Somebody, one more? I'm sorry. I always
Sal, we have
forget.
one
Sal, one more.
We have one more coming up before, so.
Hi.
Arlene Daraska,
Can you talk a little louder into the mic?
I'm Arlene Doroska from 220 East Main Street in Riverhead. My home was built in 1902, and to me, it is a beautiful, old, historic home. And I try to keep it the best I can.
Best roses I've ever seen.
Thank
Yes.
you. But I am very concerned because with the pilings, what was done by pounding, and I counted the number of pounds on one going down into the ground, and it was 303 pounds because of the water table. Are they going to be pounding, or are they going to drill? We have to know this before any more homes and beautiful places of Riverhead is destroyed. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's nice to see you, Mrs. Doroska. For those of you that don't know, Mrs. Doroska's home is directly across from the Riverwalk.
It's the White House with the beautiful roses. And you'll always see her out there pruning them or preparing them for the winter.
She's got a lot of cracks in the walls.
Okay, at this time, we'll move to resolutions. If anybody would like to come up, I'm sorry, one more thing. Sure.
We have to have our scope done back to the applicant by November 3rd, so Saturdays that might be potentially November 5th.
So-
we have 2 weeks basically.
So do you wanna do the 26th, or is that too? The 26th of October? Or do you need a little bit more time for the written? Do you wanna do the 22nd then?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so we will leave it open for written comments until October 22nd. Okay, one more time.
I'm sorry, and one thing, the PDF of all the plans and the draft scope are available on our website on page 1. If you cannot find it, please contact my office and we'll direct you where to find it.
Thank you.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Sal.
All right.
I gotta wait, this gotta be.
You want one more? If anybody would like to have any comments on any of the resolutions, please come forward.
Sal Mastropolo, Calverton. Resolution 794, the third whereas, just
All right,
take
yeah.
out the duplicate words,
Hold on.
starting on the end of the second line and the beginning of the third line.
I'm sorry, which line was it?
794,
Mm-hmm.
the third whereas, the last word on the second line and the first 4 words on the third line are duplicate. See it?
I think it
It
might,
says that the bid be awarded, that the bid be awarded.
Yes,
So remove one of the,
Yep.
that the bid be awarded.
okay. Resolution 798. The first question I have is, does the town have a dress code?
the town, there are some departments with a dress code, but not all departments have a dress code.
Okay. I read this thing pretty, in quite a bit of detail. And the one section that's missing out of here, okay, is I feel that inappropriate dress constitutes sexual harassment. And I think that needs to be put in here.
In what respect?
Exactly that. Somebody coming in inappropriately dressed constitutes sexual harassment.
I'm not sure I follow that.
That blames the.
All right. Did you ever see Let's Make a Deal and The Price is Right, the models? Okay? Half of the times, they're inappropriately dressed.
But that's no
Yes.
reason for
Scantily
somebody to
clad.
sexually abuse.
But
I'm
why
not
is that
following.
sexual
I-
harassment?
Well, why is
I'm sorry.
some of the things that are in here considered sexual harassment?
I think it's a good idea. I think that, like, the school district has rules about midriffs and too
Yes.
short of skirts and things of that nature.
That's my
that
point.
I think a dress code is a good thing. And we do have dress down days on Fridays where the employees know that they can wear jeans or, something casual. So I think a dress code is a good idea for town employees.
You know, I'm gonna disagree. I don't think we've had a problem here with the dress code. And and it's a little offensive to say that sexual harassment happens because somebody was scantily dressed. So I disagree with you.
I'm just saying one thing could lead to another.
Yeah, that would not be the sexual harassment policy. It would be saying that somebody is causing sexual harassment, is that what you?
Yes, that's my point. Inappropriate
Gotcha.
dress
That's
can
called blaming
cause.
the victim.
Huh?
Now I got you.
Got me?
I got you now.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna say that people in the town of Riverhead have all different jobs. We have people that come to their jobs in bathing suits, and we have people that come to their jobs in suits, depending on what role they're filling in, you know, what their job description is in the town. So I think it would be, you know,
I can understand that. All I'm saying is, this thing is pretty complete with the exception of the dress code, inappropriate dress code, and I think you can make an argument that inappropriate dress can constitute sexual harassment or cause sexual
Cause it.
harassment.
Correct,
Thank you.
correct. So I gotta throw my Speedos out now. All right.
Hi, Ellen Hoyle, Riverhead, New York again. As to the last comments about the dress code, I actually have two comments about resolutions, but that last one, I'm going to vehemently disagree with. Dress codes are never, dress by women is never, ever a form of sexual harassment. The fact, that was exactly what you said.
all right, we're not arguing
He
about
clarified,
that. You can address.
he feels it makes
It may
for an
cause sexual
opportunity for
harassment,
somebody to be
but the
sexually
fact that
harassed.
I wear what I wear should not be any way construed as an excuse for anybody to do sexual harassment. If this is the way that we're going to do this, then I would suggest that the first people you look at are the town lifeguards. Now, I'm going to suggest that if you're going to inform these people that their dress could encourage sexual harassment, that now they both be required to wear the same exact suits. That they all be covered from the top to their shorts. Because the way the lifeguards are dressed now, you are saying that women are encouraging sexual harassment.
And I think you're going,
I may be
Way off
going
to
way
the
beyond
extreme
what
on
you
that.
think, but that is the way it's going to appear when you do
No.
this.
I think that a professional place of business,
There is, in a professional place of business, you can say, yes, you're required to wear a suit. But you cannot
Not to
say,
prevent sexual harassment, though.
but not to prevent sexual harassment. You can say, yes, this is our dress code, you need to wear, if you're a man, you need to wear a tie. If you're a woman, you have to have a suit jacket, you have to have a blouse. You can wear a skirt up to a certain point, you know, that's our dress code. But you cannot shame women into not wearing clothes when their jobs do not require that they wear specific clothes. If a woman is working outside and she is in a situation where she can wear a tight t-shirt if she wants to, because it is not required by the dress code, it just merely requires she wear a t-shirt, why is she being shamed into being the cause of sexual harassment?
I don't think anybody's saying that. I think what it,
I'm sorry,
no.
all you women just
Okay,
wear
we're not, there's no
the same
discussion
thing?
there's no discussion back and forth with the audience, just to address the board.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But I don't disagree with you. I don't think a woman should be required to wear a bra if she chooses not to wear a bra to work. I don't think a woman should be dictated other than what is expected in the conduct of their business in a professional manner. But other than that, and if they were out of the dress code, I would never consider it sexual harassment. You may not be following the dress code, but it would not be a form of sexual harassment by the choice of clothing
Exactly.
that you wear. So I agree with that.
And certainly I agree with dressing professionally or in
I'm all
tune
for
with the
dressing
position that you
professionally.
have. But, if someone's not, I don't believe we've had a problem in the town, but if someone wasn't dressing professionally, I believe it would be the charge of their direct
Department
superior
head,
to speak
right.
to them.
But I don't think it would be a charge of sexual harassment.
The second comment I had to the resolutions was, resolution number 800, which was calling for the special hearing to be held at 2 o'clock in the afternoon regarding the 5-story building.
That is because that, I think that's our regular,
800 is Wellbridge Care Center Capital Project.
Am I reading the wrong project?
800, I don't think is the one you're referring to, I'm not sure which one.
$799 is the
It's for
one.
the final scope for this project, because
Yes.
we are under a timeline. The way it works is we have 30 days and then we have to
My
submit
only
within 60
request
days.
would be that it be held at night to afford more people the opportunity to attend.
It's just the adoption of the final scope. We've had the 2 public scoping hearings. The information that we received and the written comment will be reported, will be
I
contained
just seem
within
to,
the final
I don't know
scoping.
if I'm just not paying attention, but it seems every time I see a special meeting come up, it's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or some other time during the day, and they don't tend to be held at night.
Usually, if it's a special meeting, it's usually held in connection with a work session, and otherwise it would be held at the regular town board meeting.
Okay.
So that's the reason for that, because it's not on our scheduled meetings, but it's something that is time sensitive, to complete that.
Okay, thank you.
But we will post the final scope online prior to. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board? Seeing nobody, we will move on to resolutions.
Resolution 781.
Adopts amendments to the bylaws of the Senior Citizen Advisory Council, so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Iglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 782.
Appoints, my head. Amends terms of and establishes reappointment dates for members of the Senior Citizen Advisory Council. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Iglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 783.
Appoints a code enforcement officer, Spanish speaking, so moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes, this is, we had, Officer Garcia working for us for the past almost year, not quite a year. He was hired provisionally. He had since taken the civil service test and scored and put himself in a position where we could hire him on a, permanent basis. So that's what this is. He's been doing good work for us and certainly assisting our code enforcement division with, being able to speak the Spanish language. So that's what this is about. I vote yes.
Iglio.
Yes, and he's also working the hours of Thursday through Monday instead of the average standard work hours Monday through Friday. So, and he's working in the evenings on some days and then early in the morning on other days, so he's able to see a lot more of what's happening on the weekend. So it's been very effective since we hired him, and, I'm glad that I was a part of it, yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 784.
Appoints a member to the audit committee, so moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Iglio.
I'm going to abstain because I spoke with the president, Jack Orban, and he was not able to meet this person or be part of the interviews, so he asked.
That's not true. He did. We held a round of interviews and he was present there at it.
Right, but he said that it was boiled down to 2, and he didn't get to interview all the people. He only got to interview the 2 that were boiled down by other members that had done the interviews.
Yes, he met with the 2 finalists, correct.
Okay, so I'm going to abstain.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 785.
Appoints member to Senior Citizen Advisory Council, so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Iglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 786.
Approve settlement for damages to utility pole. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Iglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 787.
Approve settlement of claim, Philadelphia Insurance Company, ASO Family Service League, so moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Iglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 788.
Authorizes publication of help wanted advertisement for a building permits examiner. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Iglio.
Yes, this is an opportunity, if you know somebody that's a Riverhead resident, we're looking for a Riverhead resident that meets the qualifications. They would come in and interview. If the, building department head and the interviewers felt that they were competent, they could hire them provisionally, and then they would have to take a test, but it's starting at $42,000 a year with full medical benefits. So if anybody from Riverhead is interested in applying for this job, I recommend that you file your resume and your application with the Human Resources Officer, Meg Ferris, from the town of Riverhead, and then we'll be setting the interviews up. So good luck to all of you, and we look forward to seeing you. Yes?
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 789.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute a stipulation of agreement with the Riverhead Town Police Benevolent Association. So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes, we spent a good deal of time, out of the supervisor's office working on a contract for the Riverhead PBA. And I'm very happy to say that I'm pleased with the outcome of that contract. I think it was extremely fair to the town, and very fair to the police department. I think we were able to hammer out a very good deal with the help out of the supervisor's office, and it actually might have saved us some attorney's fees down the road with, doing some of the work in-house. And I congratulate the PBA on willing to work with us, knowing that times are tight, and some of the givebacks that they gave, and they're to be commended for it. So yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes, and I echo Tim, and Tim was very much involved in working with the PBA to come to a contract that we can agree on. I mean, we are almost 3 years out of contract, so I know it was a long and arduous process for the PBA, and for their members, so I was very happy to come to an agreement, and I'm happy to say yes to this.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 790.
Get this one of these days. Authorizes town clerk to publish advertisement for chemicals utilized by the town of Riverhead Sewer District. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 791.
I feel out of sync since Jim isn't
I
here.
know.
I know.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post a notice of public hearing to consider a local law for an amendment to chapter 289 entitled Vehicles, Traffic, and Parking Regulations of the Riverhead Town Code, chapter 289-2, stop and yield intersections, railroad crossings, parking fields, the location being Dam Road and Forge Road. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes, and this is going to hopefully fix that intersection on Dam and Forge Road, and we're gonna be adding a couple of stop signs and perhaps some parking spaces so that canoers and kayakers and people enjoying the recreational river, the Peconic River, will be able to safely get to the launch spots and, have a safe place to park their cars. So yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 792.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post notice of public hearing to consider the adoption of the 2019 preliminary annual budget for the town of Riverhead. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 793.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post public notice to consider a local law to amend chapter 273 entitled Solid Waste, section 12 thereof entitled Enforcement Penalties for Offenses of the Town Code. So moved.
Second.
Before you take a vote, just one change in it on the first resolve. Now therefore be resolved at the fourth line. It says that calling for you to publish this on November 25th. That should be October 25th.
Okay.
Sal.
Well, it could be.
Well, he wouldn't know that.
So I'm gonna take a first and second as amended.
Yes.
Second.
Motion as amended.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes, as amended.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 794.
This resolution will be amended also, whereas the third whereas, where it says the bid be awarded twice, we'll be striking one of those, that the bid be awarded. And I'll call the resolution. 794 is awards bid for the installation of water main and appurtenances, Wellbridge Care Center, Riverhead Water District, as amended. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 795.
Dasney Sam Grant, secret resolution for Day Haven, so moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Thank you, Senator Lavelle. Yes, we needed this money in order to get the facility up and running so that the Day Haven facility could move in. Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 796.
Order approving extension 91, Pulaski Street of the Riverhead Water District. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 797.
I'll take a deep breath before I'm done.
I need three.
Glad you got this one. Ratifies the authorization for Wonderland Midway Corp. to provide carnival services at the Riverhead Country Fair Street Festival on Sunday, October 7th, 2018, from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. with Riverhead Townscape Incorporated along the riverfront. Authorizes the supervisor to execute a license agreement with Wonderland Midway Corp. and Riverhead Townscape Incorporated. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 798.
Ratifies the adoption of a policy against workplace sexual harassment. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 799.
It's not opening.
Resolution to schedule special town board meeting for adoption of the final scope for Metro Group Properties Incorporated. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 800.
Wellbridge Care Center Capital Project Budget Adjustment, installation of water mains and appurtenances of the Riverhead Water District. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 801.
Wellbridge Care Water Main Extension number 30135. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 802.
Pays the bills, abstract attached. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Can I have a first and second to take resolution, 761 and 758, off the, it'd be to untable it or take it off the floor?
Untable.
To untable, those two resolutions?
I make a motion, we untable resolution number 761 and 758. To
Second.
untable.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution 761 and 758 are untabled. Now,
So Catherine, we'll just read them as regular.
Approves chapter 255 application of New Hope Rising Incorporated, inaugural softball tournament and home run derby, Saturday, October 20th, 2018. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 758.
Classifies action pursuant to SECRA, issues negative declaration and grants special permit for accessory outdoor storage at 84 Lumber Company located at 1751 West Main Street, Riverhead, New York. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
I'm gonna recuse myself as my eldest son works for the company.
And Giglio.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
At this time, I will open the floor to anybody from the public who would like to come up and comment on anything.
Good evening, Madam Supervisor and Town Board members. My name is Robert French. I am a council representative for the New England Regional Council of Carpenters. And would just like to encourage the Town Board to ask the Ethics Committee to hopefully move along their process in regards to Councilwoman Giglio, so that we can possibly move forward and come to some kind of conclusion and allow the town board then to move forward and come to some kind of decision regarding the EPCAL property along with 555 and Illuminati. So if you could please encourage them to get this process finalized, whatever the conclusion may be, so we can move forward, because it does mean important, good construction jobs for the building trades, the carpenters, and permanent jobs along for the town residents. So thank you for listening to me.
I've reached out, once again, to the Ethics Board and the Ethics Board attorney to get a timeline. I am told once again that they are waiting for a response from their outside counsel to provide them with some feedback on the information they gave them, and that they will continue to move along once they receive that.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John McAuliffe, the Coalition Against EPCAL Housing. First, I'm glad that dress code does not require Tim or me to wear a tie in these sessions. So, I had one thought just from the presentation earlier in the process that has occurred to me at other times, that it might be helpful to you and to the public if, when people are making these kinds of presentations, they're required to put it on some kind of PowerPoint and to project onto the wall so that people can actually see. And in the case where it has to do with as fundamentally important a question as a chunk of the Main Street area and the visuals to the river, that they be required to have a visual that shows the impact of their project on the whole environment of downtown, not just something that they put up with a placard, which leaves it to the imagination. You've already answered part of my question. I have a feeling sometimes that WIRV ought to be also minuted as part of the what happens in the board, but I don't know whether Ms. Giglio was, the problem is that things get quoted, and I don't know whether you want to clarify where you stand now on whatever the recommendation is from the ethics board, so that whatever version interpretation of the interview and is clearer to people, that would, I think, be helpful, and not, obviously you're not required to.
I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. And I said that if the ethics board recommended that I recuse myself from voting, which I don't think they will, because I was doing my due diligence.
Right.
But if they tell me to recuse myself, I will recuse myself.
Okay, that's very, very helpful. Thank you for being clear on that. And then the question, obviously, we're still waiting. And the process, which I think the supervisor stated in the past, is once we've gone through that stage, it will still be at least a couple of weeks before the Q&E is scheduled, so that there will be some period between the creating of the context and the actual discussion.
I think the next board meeting is a skip board meeting. We have Wednesday. Yeah, so just some of the board meetings are lengthier between the others, so.
Okay, but my question is whether people can be confident that in between the decision of the ethics board and however it's considered by the town board, there will then be a normal lapse between at least 2 weeks to the next board meeting before a Q&E.
Well, it wouldn't be my intention to on such an important issue, to schedule a meeting in between our regularly scheduled board meetings. I don't know what the feeling is for the other board members, but I can't imagine that we would schedule an off meeting for something.
No, I'm perhaps not being clear. If you get the ethics board response sometime 3 or 4 days before a board meeting. Would there then be that board meeting and then a normal cycle to a following board meeting before you would have a Q&E vote?
I can't answer that right now, depending on when we got, you know, if it was, I would think if it was 24 hours before and there wasn't enough notice to be able to give to the public, I don't know that wouldn't be something I would want to schedule that way. Whether the other town board members might wanna do that, I do not know. I can't, you know, I don't know how everybody feels about it, but I think that because this issue has been dragging along and we haven't, you know, people want to be able to attend, the meeting, I think it's a great concern to the community. I think that it would be appropriate for the board to give enough notice so that people could arrange their schedules to be able to attend.
And the rest of the board?
I'll echo that with a 24-hour, but if we get 4 or 5 days' notice, I have no problem putting it up for the next meeting.
Okay, so I think at least from our viewpoint, having the 2-week cycle would be beneficial. That, again, it's taken a long time, but that doesn't mean given the precedent of the original rush to judgment and the contract.
I hardly would call anything a rush to judgment there, sir.
Well, the original
So-
contract was a rush to judgment in terms of the lame duck board.
And that was a
pushing
poor
it.
voting choice on
I know,
3 members of the
no,
board.
you guys took a very strong,
And nobody
it's
ever
worth
voted
people
for
going
that.
back and looking at.
No one at this podium voted for that.
No.
Right.
So, but I think, you know, to echo Tim, I don't think that because there would be no new information coming out with regards to the qualified and eligible. It would just be the eligibility of Ms. Giglio, whether they approve her to vote or to not vote on it. But I don't think there's any additional information coming in about the actual qualified and eligible. So there would be nothing more that the public necessarily needed to digest about that before the hearing. So if there was ample time, I think, Diane, what is it normally, the 72 hours for public notice, notify?
I think it's less than that, they'd have to check in my book.
Yeah, I think, Bob, do you know for open meetings law, the notification is usually.
Special town board meetings.
Where it's not a special, but to have a town board meeting, it's usually 72 hours before you notice.
You can do it on shorter notice, provided the town.
But
board
everybody's, right, but without the waiver, do you know how many?
I don't recall.
I'm not quite sure it is, but I think that, you know, as Tim says, I think reasonably, 4 days, less than 4 days' notice, I think would be, in my view, too short a notice to be able to notify the public adequately, but I think a 4-day notice, 4-day window would probably be, okay.
Well,
On a regularly scheduled meeting, not on an off meeting.
Okay. And of course, given human nature, we don't know that the ethics board will necessarily say yay or nay. It may come down the middle and leave still everything very confused and judgmental.
At that point, we would address that issue also.
Okay, thank you.
Sal Mastropolo, Calverton. We have a lot of town codes that refer just to residential areas. And I think a lot of the people in this town don't know a lot of the town codes that relate to residential areas. And I was wondering if there's a way to get the newspapers maybe to do an article every week about a different town code and how they relate to residential areas. And I'll give you some examples. Recycling, okay? I see some houses on my street that never put a recycle pail out, which means they're throwing commingled and paper in with the regular garbage. Now, we don't have an inspector that goes around checking, although some towns do. That's one item. Another item, okay, parking commercial vehicles or trailers on the street. Boats. Residential area, you can have a boat in your driveway, but it has to be behind the front building line. Rental permits. I bet you half of the people in this town don't know that you need a rental permit to rent. And the last item has to do with garbage and when you can put garbage out for pickup, okay? I saw garbage on the street this weekend, okay, Saturday and Sunday, and you know it's not gonna be picked up until Tuesday. So you need to get the word out to the people, because people don't know what codes we have, and they're not gonna go out of their way to come to town hall to read about them. So maybe the paper can do an article on one code a week to get the word out. Thank you.
Sounds like you just got yourself a column to write.
Guest column by Sal.
Guest column by Sal. Getting to know your town rules.
Town codes are us.
And if you see garbage out on a Saturday or a Sunday, you should probably you can go to the Town of Riverhead website, and where it says code complaints, you can click on that and you can put the address in, because chances are if they're putting out garbage on a Sunday afternoon and the pickup is on Tuesday, it's an illegal rental, and they've rented the house for the weekend, and the people are putting out the garbage on a Sunday night, and it's not picking up till
Well,
Tuesday.
it doesn't need to be an illegal rental, it could also be somebody who's a weekend home and they're heading back to their primary resident, and they leave on Sunday night and they put the trash out instead of putting it out, instead of, having somebody else put it out on the pickup day.
We get a lot of complaints
Or they're
about that,
worried they'll forget.
and we get a lot of complaints about garbage pails being spilled over and garbage flowing around in the streets because people are putting it out too early. And if you have a summer home here, then you need to know that when you put your garbage out on Sunday night, you're violating the code. If I had a summer home somewhere, I would know the rules of that summer community, and I would know that I can't put my garbage out on a Sunday night, and I would have a neighbor, or I would hire somebody to come and put my garbage out for me when they're supposed to.
Or take it back with you.
Right.
All right, seeing nobody else, I will have a first and second to close the town board meeting.
Motion?
And move, a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Have a good night, everybody.